Anime is just for kids? Think again. While anime has gone global, many still carry the outdated belief that it's a medium made solely for children. That might have made sense when all we had were Western Saturday morning cartoons, but anime? It can get dark. Like really dark. So whether you're a curious newcomer or a seasoned otaku ready to dive deeper, this list is for you. We're talking gore, psychological horror, mature themes, and twisted worlds that stick with you long after the credits roll. Let's kick things off with a show that doesn't drench you in blood or throw jump scares at your face. Serial Experiments Lane is far more sinister. It's a slow, creeping descent into the void of the human psyche. This anime isn't loud about its darkness. It whispers it, one eerie frame at a time. It all begins when Lane, a seemingly average 14-year-old girl, gets an email from a classmate who recently took her own life. Only, this classmate says she's not really dead. That message drags Lane into The Wired, a digital parallel to the internet, where reality and identity begin to blur. The more she dives in, the less she recognizes herself, or the world around her. The animation? Quiet. The pacing? Almost dreamlike. But don't let that fool you. Beneath the surface, this show tackles existential dread, isolation, and the terrifying reach of technology. There are no cheap thrills here. Instead, Lane peels back the fragile layers of human consciousness, asking, what makes us real? Where does the self begin and end? And can a mind survive being uploaded into the web? As the series unfolds, the line between the real world and the Wired dissolves. Lane stops being just a girl and starts becoming something else, something terrifyingly omnipresent. The show becomes a digital ghost story, one that haunts your thoughts rather than your dreams. You won't find screaming demons or flashy death scenes here. Instead, the horror comes from silence, distortion, and the creeping realization that maybe you've already been plugged in too long. Kids won't get it. Many adults won't either. But if you want a show that challenges your perception of reality while giving you a lingering sense of unease, Serial Experiments Lane is your rabbit hole.
だから、
我々はそれを危険だと考えている。
This should absolutely not be airing before midnight. That's Chainsaw Man in a nutshell. At first glance, it might seem like your typical shonen. Young protagonist, supernatural powers, epic battles. But once you hit play, all those assumptions are chainsawed in half within 5 minutes. This anime is blood-soaked, brutally violent, and filled with characters so damaged they make anti-heroes look like saints. Meet Denji, a broke, down-on-his-luck teen who's sold body parts just to eat. His only friend is a chainsaw dog named Pachida. Cute, right? That is, until Denji dies and fuses with Pachida to become a devil-human hybrid with literal chainsaws bursting out of his body. From there, it's a non-stop grind through flesh, trauma, and twisted ambition. What sets Chainsaw Man apart isn't just its gore. Though, yeah, there's a lot of it. It's the way it balances that brutality with black comedy and deeply human storytelling. Denji's motivations aren't noble. He doesn't want to save the world. He just wants a better meal, a warm bed, and maybe being surrounded with Ophai. He's refreshingly honest, in a world full of liars and manipulators. The characters around him, even darker. From Makima, a calm, calculating puppet master hiding pure menace behind every smile, to Aki, a broken man slowly losing everything to vengeance. This isn't a world where good triumphs over evil. This is a world where people use each other, then toss the remains into the fire. With themes of manipulation, death, existentialism, and a constant undercurrent of emotional numbness, Chainsaw Man pushes far past what most shonen dare to touch. It's messy, it's violent, it's brilliant, and it leaves you wondering, what would you do if all you had was pain and a chainsaw?
俺たちおもちゃ扱いしやがってよ。だんだんマジでムカついてきたぜ。
If Chainsaw Man is messy, Dorohedoro is pure chaos with a chainsaw grin. This anime is a gritty, blood-drenched fever dream full of brutal violence, bizarre humor, and twisted charm. It doesn't just go dark, it lives there, throwing logic out the window and dancing on the edge of madness. The story takes place in two worlds, the polluted, crime-ridden hole, where humans struggle to survive, and the upscale realm of sorcerers, who descend into the hole to perform grotesque magical experiments on helpless victims. These experiments, they're not pretty. Think body horror, mutation, and all-around nightmare fuel. Enter Cayman, a man with a lizard head and no memory of who he is. He's on a mission to track down the sorcerer who cursed him, with his knife-wielding bestie Nikaido by his side. And if that sounds straightforward, don't be fooled. Inside Cayman's mouth lives another man, one who might hold the truth about his past. Yes, really, what sets Doro apart is its chaotic tone. One minute you're watching someone get their face melted off, and the next you're laughing at a sorcerer obsessed with mushrooms. Characters like Shin and Noi, brutal enforcers with oddly wholesome vibes, blur the line between villain and hero in the best way. It's not just gore for gore's sake. Beneath the madness is a surprisingly emotional story about friendship, identity, and loyalty in a world where morality is broken beyond repair. So if you're down for a ride that's equal parts horror, humor, and what did I just watch? Doro belongs on your list. Just don't watch it while eating. Seriously. Don't let the kaleidoscopic visuals fool you. Mononoke is not the kind of anime before bedtime. Beneath its hypnotic ukiyo-inspired art lies one of the most haunting, psychologically charged horror series ever created. It doesn't scream horror, it paints it slowly, with dread seeping in between brushstrokes. Each arc follows the enigmatic medicine seller, a mysterious wanderer who exorcises spirits known as Mononoke. But it's not a simple slash-and-burn deal. He can't just purify these spirits. He must first uncover three things: the form, the truth, and the reason behind their existence. What follows is always chilling. Stories rooted in trauma, regret, and unspeakable pain. The animation style alone is disorienting, jagged edits, clashing textures, and surreal transitions that feel like a fever dream. But it's not weird for weird's sake. The visuals mirror the emotional and spiritual rot at the core of every haunting. It's horror as introspection. And yeah, it's unsettling as hell. And despite the bright palette, this is dark storytelling. We're talking vengeful spirits of murdered children, betrayals that echo from beyond the grave, and settings like haunted brothels and cursed ships. The beauty of Mononoke lies in how it masks ugliness in elegance. It's poetry written in blood and sorrow. This show is less about jump scares, and more about dread creeping in through the cracks of human behavior. Each spirit is born from real-world suffering, and the show never looks away. It confronts abuse, revenge, guilt, and the cyclical nature of pain with unflinching honesty. So if you want horror that's intelligent, artistic, and psychologically brutal, Mononoke isn't just recommended. It's required viewing.
申し訳ありません。どうやらそいつが強畜島のようです。
If you judged Made in Abyss by its art alone, you'd probably think it's a light-hearted adventure for kids. Wide-eyed children, colorful scenery, and a whimsical soundtrack. It looks like something straight out of a Ghibli dream. But don't let that facade fool you. This show is a psychological sledgehammer in disguise. The story follows Riko, a young girl who descends into a massive, mysterious pit known as the Abyss, searching for her mother. Alongside her is Reg, a robotic boy with a forgotten past. What starts as a hopeful journey quickly morphs into a horrifying descent. Literally and emotionally, every layer of the Abyss brings more danger, more body horror, and more psychological trauma. And the deeper they go, the darker it gets. There's a terrifying law in the Abyss. The further down you travel, the worse the physical toll when you try to come back up. Vomiting, hallucinations, bleeding from every pore. Now imagine children facing that, and worse. This show doesn't pull punches. Gruesome deaths, experiments on children, and moments of emotional devastation that will leave you hollow inside. And just when you think it can't get darker, along comes Bondrud, one of the most cold, sadistic villains ever animated. He smiles while breaking kids, both mentally and physically, and somehow remains charming, which makes him all the more disturbing. Made in Abyss is a masterclass in contrast. It weaponizes its innocent look to make its darkness hit even harder. It's beautiful, yes, but it's the kind of beauty that lures you in before tearing you apart. If you can handle being emotionally gutted while staring at breathtaking animation, Made in Abyss will give you an unforgettable fall.
少々形がいびつになる程度で済んでいます。
If anime horror is usually tame, another is the one that says, let's crank up the body count. At first glance, it's your standard high school mystery. New student, creepy vibes, secrets whispered in the halls. But the moment someone dies in an elevator, decapitated by a falling panel, you know this show means business. The story follows Koichi, a student returning to school after a hospital stay. He meets a quiet girl named Mei, who seems invisible to everyone else, and not in a metaphorical way. There's something off, and no one wants to talk about it. But when his classmates start dying in horrific, Final Destination-style accidents, the truth begins to surface. A curse, a forgotten student, and a classroom that's being picked off one by one. Another may not reinvent psychological horror, but it perfects gruesome suspense. The deaths are elaborate and shocking. Umbrellas through the throat, falling glass, even impalement by boat oars. It's the kind of anime where you start flinching every time someone climbs stairs or opens a door. What makes it even creepier is the setting. A sleepy rural town, a haunted school building, and a group of students trying to piece together a mystery that keeps rewriting itself. It's atmospheric as hell. Quiet moments stretch into dread, and silence becomes as terrifying as any scream. And while the premise leans into classic horror tropes, the execution is sharp. It's a slow burn that erupts into chaos, and you're never quite sure who's next, or why. That constant uncertainty is what keeps you locked in. So no, another isn't for the faint of heart. It's the anime equivalent of a cursed VHS tape. Once you start it, you can't look away, even when the deaths start piling up. And trust me, we've only scratched the surface. There are way more anime out there that look innocent on the outside, but are absolutely not for the weaks once you hit play. So if you're into the dark, the disturbing, or the straight-up, what did I just watch kind of anime, go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss part 2 of this wild and unfiltered list. Because honestly, the next batch, it's even more intense. Drop a comment below and tell me which anime you think should make the cut, or one that seriously messed you up. I read every single one, and who knows, your pick might just show up in the next video. Don't sleep on it. Part 2 is coming fast. See you there.